And we're live.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Stocks with MobiChord. Thank you for joining our Ask the Expert session. Today, we're going to be doing a MobiChord demo and have a technical conversation about how we're implementing and how the MobiChord solution is working. My name is Tim Stocks, and I'll be actually running this session today. Unfortunately, Josh Harker had to back out because there's a bit of emergency. So please feel free to ask me any questions. We'll be posting those on the ServiceNow community and answering them there so everybody knows what's going on. And you can go ahead and post those to the community blog post that we have there. I've been helping with solutions consulting here at Mobicord for more than 2 years, and hopefully I got a lot of great knowledge that I can share with you about our solution. So to give you a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about today, first we're going to go into a brief overview of Mobicord itself. We'll talk about a few of our customers there. We'll talk about kind of what the need is and why we chose the ServiceNow platform as from a technical aspect. Then we'll talk about implementation, and most of the time today is actually going to be shared with a product demonstration. So let's talk a little bit about Mobicord. First of all, we're the fastest growing global telecom and cloud management company today, and we are the only solution that's built natively on ServiceNow. So from the solutions portion of this, why that's so important is because ServiceNow offers us the best platform in the world to build on. Kind of interesting, looking back at ServiceNow's their investor report, was you guys have there at ServiceNow, they have over 1,400 people that are devoted to R&D. A good portion of those are devoted strictly to the platform and making a great enterprise platform. And so what we've done at Mobicord is we've taken our telecom solution, we've built that, telecom cloud, and we've built that natively on ServiceNow. So that means we use the CMDB to hold all of our assets and all of our inventories. We're also using the SelfService Portal. Literally, the entire solution is built right there natively within ServiceNow. And for you, that means that you control all the data and you control all the processes, and it really puts you in full control of the solution. Whereas with another TEM vendor, they're the ones that's going to be in control of the solution. They'll control all the data, and that's not a good deal. And so we want to put you guys in the driver's seat. The other cool thing is ServiceNow is actually a capital investor in Mobicord. They invested in us back in 2016. And in addition, we are one of their gold technology partners. So we've been implementing solutions on ServiceNow and really pushing the boundaries of what the platform can do for years now. And we got a lot of great customers that are using it. You can see all shapes, sizes, and different industries are what we're working with. And it's a pleasure to be able to work with them. And most of them, right now are ServiceNow customers. So why did we choose telecom and cloud? What are kind of the problems and what are we trying to solve with the solution? The first thing I think to point out is that it's just a huge deal when we're talking about IT. According to a report that Gartner just recently put out, it's actually about 15% of the total IT budget, and being one of the largest line items on the IT budget. And the expenses from telecom and cloud are just skyrocketing. The other problem that we see is, even though it's a huge deal to IT and it's a huge part of their budget, that they're not managing, or companies are not managing their telecom and cloud with ServiceNow. It's being done outside of the platform. So that means that it's going to be lacking business integrations. They're going to lack the standard processes, the automation, the data consistency that we know and love from ServiceNow. And this comes from them working manually across these different systems, and that produces your high labor costs. I mean, a lot of wasteful spending. You just can't optimize the same way if you're not on a great platform that will automate those things for you. And at the end of the day, really poor user experiences. So at Mobicord, it's our goal to give our customers amazing user experiences, extend what ServiceNow has said in making the work lives for employees better. We really have grabbed onto that mantra, and we really believe in it, and that's what we'd like to promote within Mobicord. So ServiceNow, from the technical aspect, why did we choose ServiceNow as the core? Really, it's the core of our business, right? We've developed our solutions on ServiceNow all of our solutions are applications that are on the ServiceNow store. And so the first reason why we said, let's go with ServiceNow, and given this is back in 2013, right? ServiceNow wasn't the company that it is now. They were, they had gotten off to a good start and they were really strong. But it was still a little bit on our side of a question mark. But we saw the potential in ServiceNow, first of all, because they were providing amazing corporate-wide experiences. So everybody in the organization, whether it be an admin or an end user, gets a fantastic user experience. And the platform is extremely flexible. So you guys have seen this. This goes deep from their graphical workflows that they do, anywhere from working with configuration item, which is very simple, automated notifications. All these types of things are really what led us to choose ServiceNow. On top of that, you can't find a much more secure platform, and organizations are already trusting ServiceNow with all of their IT data. So why don't we pull the telecom and cloud data in there with the rest of that information? And last but not least, organizations have chosen ServiceNow as their single system of record. And so when we're talking about telecom and cloud, they've always been managed separately in a different system. And it is important that we create a single system because then we can get all the synergies with IT working together. And so that's exactly what Mobicord enables organizations to do. We help organizations centralize all of the telecom and cloud data on the ServiceNow platform. And so when we look at the different points, the different areas that we're integrating, we'll kind of go around this wheel here. The first thing that we do is we integrate with the providers. So this could be anything from AT&T, Verizon, Sprint. It could be CenturyLink, Time Warner, any of these types of providers that are working on the telecom or cloud space, AWS. We're going to take all of this information, we're going to connect it seamlessly with ServiceNow. And that's one of the things from a technical aspect that Mobicord can do pretty much better than anybody out there, is import huge amounts of data into the ServiceNow system without slowing it down or having any problems. And so when we look with these providers, we're bringing in all of the billing information, we're bringing in asset information and pulling it into ServiceNow and creating that single system of record. Once that's in there, we've also taken the asset inventories from the mobile device management side, from AirWatch or Mobile Iron or Intune or Mass 360. We take these device inventories and have a real-time integration with ServiceNow to where we can have know exactly what person has what device at any given time on the ServiceNow platform. And so we have all the assets in there that we can manage as well. Now, naturally, ServiceNow has a connection to the HR systems as well as the ERP systems. So that means we have accurate user data at any given time. So we know when transitions happen throughout the organization, if somebody comes in or if somebody leaves. And that really enables us to work much better, as well as with the ERP system, or this could be ERP or accounting system, but we know who belongs to what cost centers. And so we can properly allocate the costs as well. So what does it take to pull all of that together? And how are we doing the implementations? So the coolest thing really about Mobicord is our ability to very quickly implement. And so because we have ServiceNow as that base layer, the technology that's underneath the platform, it is much quicker and easier for us to implement our solutions, because we already have we don't have to implement a new platform, it's already there. And so our ideal implementation time is about 90 days. You can see here how we have that set out in different periods. And so we look at this as we start by planning. So we have a kickoff meeting with our customers to figure out, okay, who are the players in this? What do we need to get done? What are the checkpoints that we need to hit in order to be successful? And we get working with, okay, these are the information that we need in order to do the integrations. We need X, Y, and Z, right? And that should just take about a week. The next portion of it is getting all of this information in and ingesting it in a way that we can set up our integrations. So we look at the org data, we look at their AP files, how we're going to be able to allocate costs out. We'll look at their portfolio as far as what they'd like to be able to order, their MACD processes, and whatnot. So all of those things are kind of are done in the discovery phase, where we pull all that information into one area and then we make sense of it, so that in the next stage we can actually go ahead and start implementing these integrations. So we'll do the configuration, we'll get the organization information, inventory data, we'll do the connection with the EMM solutions, and get ready for the UAT testing. And from then, once the UAT has been performed and accepted, then we can actually go ahead and start with the deployment and get that running. And from there, it's just operating, letting your teams work within the solution. So now let's go over to the demo, and I'll really be able to show you what we're talking about here and show you the value that we can help you provide. Okay, let's start here. So the first thing I'd like you to realize and recognize is that by looking up here at our URL, this is just an instance of ServiceNow. So in your case, this would be your instance of ServiceNow, or your organization's instance of ServiceNow. All of the data that we see here is being stored on the CMDB in tables, and this is the portal that represents the data that's living there behind it. And so you can see this is a nice, fresh user interface that makes it very simple for you guys to use, and it makes it so that your admins are way more productive than they would be if they were working in any other platform. I want to point out that there's 3 core areas which we really track and manage within the portal. First of all, we have our expenses. Secondly, we have all of the services, so the requests, and these requests are just flowing straight through ServiceNow, right? We're doing this as we would any other IT service. And then lastly, we have all of the inventories. All right, and so we can see here, these are the contracts. These are the biggest contracts that we have. We show what our spend was last month and what the potential savings are. And I'll show you how we get to those potential savings in a minute. If it's an international company, we can also click on a different country and see their contracts and get this overview for the different nations. So it's just a great way to be able to get that bird's eye view of what's going on. Now take a look in the top right corner here. From any of these pages, we can click on the export to PDF wherever it's available, and we are actually going to shoot out a PDF of what we're seeing here. Mobicord utilizes ServiceNow business rules and workflows to be able to automate a lot of the manual work that's happening. So this is one great example of how we've utilized ServiceNow business rules and workflows to be able to optimize our spend. So as you can see here, we have all these different providers, and each provider is going to be unique in and of itself because they have their own contract. There's going to be unique ways that we can actually optimize for savings. So as we look here with AT&T Wireless, if we click on this tile, it's going to show us all the opportunities for savings we have with AT&T. One of the most common ones that I like to point out is unused roaming plans. So what happens in the organizations is Bob is going to go on a trip to Germany, for example. And the way that they work this internally with the team is that if Bob's going to go to Germany, he needs to let their telecom admin know that he's traveling to Germany. And their telecom admin is then going to put an alarm on some clock and say, hey, he's going to Germany this time. I need to add a roaming pass to his account on this day. And hopefully that admin remembers to do that. If they do, that's great. But what happens is a lot of these guys forget to remove that roaming plan once it has been added. And this means that we're going to be paying a lot of money for services we're not using. And that's not smart. So we want to fix that. So here are all of the accounts we can see that are roaming without a plan. And Mobicord helps you automate a lot of this work and streamline the work by using mass actions. So we can select all of these lines, then we can go ahead and change the feature. So we'd remove the feature from that line. So in any other circumstance, if we were to look up these 70 or 80 lines one by one, go to the provider portal and go and turn these off one by one, this would be a tremendous amount of time. And we allow you to do that in a matter of seconds. So it really takes a lot of the time and work out of what you were doing before. And this goes for any type of overage that we see. And so we talk about saving money. There's three core ways that we can save money at any given time for an organization. First thing we want to do is what we just said. We're going to get rid of unused lines, any plans, any features that are not being used. We got to get rid of that because we're paying for something that we're obviously not using. The second thing we can do is eliminate overages. And Mobicord has a couple different ways that we take care of that. And you can see them here as we identify whether it be like data overages or high usage lines. So these are there's a number of ways we can actually identify those overages. And then the last thing is just making sure that your plans actually fit. So I'll show you here in a minute how we look at data pools and how we help optimize data pools so that you're not going over or that you're not underutilizing those pools as well. So as I said, here's our analysis function, and what the analysis is doing is this is our full analytics where we can really dig into the telecom information and learn more about our environment and what we have going on. So when we're in the overall side, we're looking at all the expenses that we have. So if we click here on November 2016, what it's going to pull up is a stack ranked list of all of our charges from highest to lowest. And so this is a service fee we have on a circuit. It's $176,000. Well, anytime we see this, we can actually click in and get more information on it. And it really allows us to get a lot of visibility into the environment and help us understand our expenses better. It also allows us to take actions on that specific service. So let's go specifically into mobile, since we talked about ways that we can work with the pools. So here we have our telecom pools. It's going to show me all of the pools that we have, and it shows us utilization. So on mobility, we want to ideally have this between 95 and 100% without going over 100%. You can see on some we're higher and some we're lower, but what we can do is actually click in on this data pool and see the specifics on the pool, but then also look at the lines. And from a proactive standpoint, there's things that we can do. For example, with AT&T and Verizon, we have real-time integration, so this information is coming in real time. So we can set up alerts in ServiceNow to let us know when a pool gets to a certain level. So if we need to add some data to that pool, we could do that. Or if we needed to change a user from that pool to a different pool, we could also do that. So there's ways that we can proactively manage this as well in order to keep track and make sure that we're not overutilizing the pool. On the other side, if we have a pool, for example, we see here with 64%, this means that on the other side, we have 36% of usage that we're paying for, but we're not actually using. And so we may need to move additional users into this pool in order to balance that out and get it at a higher utilization so we're not wasting money. So just having the visibility gives us complete control into doing and working with these, but the ability to click in on any of these analytics and immediately take action is what really produces the value for your organization. Just seeing things doesn't do anything, but the actionability is what produces results. The other thing I'd like to show you guys really quick is our ability to do forecasts and budgets within the system. So if we said that we're going to look forward in the future here to December, we only have 3 months worth of data here. We can show a budget line. And the way that this budget is created is we have a machine learning that's going to go back in the past and look at what usage was before and estimate what it's going to be like for the future. So if I compare this to the previous year, we're going to see that we have a trend just like this one before, but it's assuming that we're going to have higher usage than the year before, but it's still going to trend upwards in these later months. So what this does in two areas, it gives us a lot of power. So number one, when we're doing just the budgeting from a managerial standpoint, is going to help us know and estimate what those costs are going to be. But from the other side, mobile, fixed, cloud, all of these contracts are based on usage. And we're going to be able to negotiate a better contract if we have a better estimate on what usage is going to be. So we can use this to know better what we're going to use so we can negotiate a better contract and drive down costs. All right, so we're going to move on to the inventory. And the inventory side is very interesting because we're leveraging the CMDB from ServiceNow in order to do everything. So if we were to look, for example, into the fixed side here, and let's look at this ISDN circuit. So here's our table in ServiceNow. Here's our configuration items. We click on the service here. We can see the configuration item in more detail. And from here, we can see what it's related to. So we have relationship maps with these telecom items that's going to show us everything that we have. So let's see if we click here and click expand. It'll take a second because this is a big one. Whew, check that out. Now we're going to zoom in here. All right, so we can see that we have a circuit. The circuit connects to a PBX. PBX has 100 PSTN lines that are on it, and then there's 100 desk phones hooked onto each one of those PSTN lines. What gives us a lot of power, I mean, it's cool that we have this here, but really what makes us powerful is the ability to use ServiceNow to map and watch out for service outages and then do automated tasks built on a service outage. So say, for example, this PBX goes out and we have a problem with it. What we can do within ServiceNow is we could actually send out a notification to all of the lines or all of the configuration items that are affected by an outage on this PBX. This means that instead of getting 100 phone calls from all these users who now can't use their phone, ironically, they wouldn't send you phone calls, right? Because their phone isn't working. But they would send you emails saying, or open tickets saying, hey, my phone isn't working. Well, if we can send out an email to all of them, the second we know there's an outage, we're going to stop all of those help desk tickets from actually happening. So having this kind of control in our asset inventories and understand the way that things are connected is extremely powerful. On the other side, there's a couple cool things from the mobility side that really help us work with these from an asset standpoint. As we look at the MDM providers, so mobile device management or enterprise mobility management providers, their goal is to get 100% of your phones enrolled so that they can completely secure your device. The problem is most organizations don't fully understand what their inventories are like for mobile. And so they don't know, there's no way to compare the MDM's inventories to what you're paying for with the wireless provider. And so there's no way to tell and compare how many phones you have versus how many of those are actually secured with your EMM solution. Since we have all those data points consolidated on ServiceNow, we can actually do that. So we can see that we have 4,000 that are managed and we have 4,000 that are not managed. And so we need to take steps to get these things managed. Another big one is just knowing when devices are eligible for upgrade. So right now we can see that we have 6,000 that are actually eligible for upgrade and 1,600 that are not. From here, we could actually click in and go and take action on these different lines, or we could send out an automated notification, for example, if a device becomes upgrade eligible. So just having the information in the system and having it in ServiceNow really allows for us to be able to take automated actions based on that. Now, the cool thing is, since you guys are ServiceNow professionals, your organization can actually set those up yourselves. So we can work with you on professional services and set up a lot of these automated processes and whatnot. But the cool thing is you guys can actually do that yourself because you're used to using ServiceNow. The next part I'd like to talk about is how we get the information in, how we process the information, and how we get just crazy good data consistency and data accuracy. So it all starts with the contract. And for each service, we have a different contract. So you can see a lot of different ones here: Verizon Wireless, Azure, Google Apps, AT&T Wireless, AT&T Fixed. And for each one of these contracts, we have what are called the conditions. And so these conditions are going to govern all the expenses that we pull into the system. And so this means on each one of these invoices that's pulled in from this contract, first of all, we're supposed to get a 25% accessory discount. We're supposed to get a 19% service discount. We're supposed to get so many early termination fee waivers. So any information that we pull in underneath this contract should be governed by these conditions. And so it's important that we have all the contract information in here and working for us. Now from here, we can go in, and there's a pretty cool process that is going to take these invoices, ingest them, and make sure that they're clean and everything's functioning properly. So if we click on the invoices here, there's a very simple way to bring invoices in. Generally speaking, Mobicord is going to be doing this for you guys, but we just go ahead and select our contract, and then it's a drag and drop interface. So we drag that in here, we drop it into the invoice uploading, and then the invoice is going to be uploaded for us. While it's being uploaded and imported, it's going to go through a very vigorous process to ensure that there is data consistency and that we're actually paying for what we should be paying for. So the first step of that is that we're going to run an audit versus the contract. So this is going to tell us, do we have services that weren't there before? Are we now, are we getting the service discounts that we should be getting? Were we charged for terminating a line when it should have been covered by those, by the early termination waivers, those types of things. And it'll run this audit, and then if there's a problem, it creates an audit task that can then be assigned to a user to be able to take that and create a dispute and manage it or dismiss it. So if we look here, this is all the information behind the audit. We can take action on it, or we can create a dispute. So the dispute is when we have the audit and it's something we need to take up with the carrier in order to receive a refund for what we've done. We have a full lifecycle management for disputes within ServiceNow. So we can see what ones we have open, ones that have been replied to, ones that are getting too old, how long it takes to resolve, and then what the amount is or the value that we've produced by following these disputes. Within the dispute as well, we do a lot of things to help save you time. So we have the amount that we're disputing. We have the description of the problem, and this is all automatically generated. We have our contact with the carrier, and then we can assign it to a user within the organization that should be following up with this dispute. Now, the really cool thing is we can actually send an email to them. It's going to be automatically populated with what we need. It's automatically going to have us included, and all the emails are going to be tracked within ServiceNow so that none of these are going to get lost, which would happen within a normal environment. So, I mean, if you look at the way that most companies handle disputes, they have seriously an Excel sheet, and they have these types of things. Who is it assigned to? What's the problem and how they are managing it? Maybe even a Google Docs so more than one people can address it. But it's all being managed manually, which is a huge pain. And there's no easy way to track and manage all of those emails as well. And so we pull it into the ServiceNow platform and structure it and make sure that you can get the most value. So once we've done the auditing, then we have the reconciliation. The reconciliation is really kind of where I would say the magic happens, because we take all of these data sources. So we have the wireless carriers, we have the EMM solutions, we have the ERP system, we have an HR system, and we pull all that data into one place, and then we reconcile it and make sure that we know who has a phone, we know what the associated expenses are, and we know what cost center they're part of. We also track and manage any employee transitions. So if a new employee shows up or if an employee leaves, we will track those. And so, for example, if an employee leaves, we know that there's going to be an unused line there. And so we can be proactive about cleaning those things up. This provides more visibility, more transparency, and actionability than any other solution on the market. because we have all the data points coming into ServiceNow, which is already their single system of record. Nobody has this clean of data that they can really work with and make work for you. Once that's in, we do the cost allocations, and we can show a report on the cost allocations just by coming in on the contract and looking at something that's been imported. So if we come back here to March, we can actually see the allocation results. And a standard allocation would be that we're allocating costs directly to the user who has incurred those charges. But we can also do more advanced allocations. So as you can see here, we have AirWatch licenses, and AirWatch charges us from a one lump sum, right? And so maybe we're spending 50 grand a year on them. So you take that out monthly, and we need to divide that cost out to each of the users. Well, ServiceNow allows us to do these advanced cost allocations, which we could take any charge. Same thing if you wanted to treat your company as a service provider and we wanted to charge back $5 per line each month to manage, we could also do those sorts of allocations. So we have all the data in the system. We've learned how to optimize it. We've learned how we keep track of the inventories. Now for the service management part. And I saved this for last because I'm also going to show you the self-service portal, and that's going to demonstrate how we get tickets into the system if a admin is not manually putting those tickets into the system. So as we can see here, this is an overview of all of the services that we have. So these are the tickets. So there's 861 waiting for approval. We have these ones that are open, ones that are maybe out of SLA, and ones that we've completed. So if we were to click on any of these, it's going to show us in ServiceNow the tickets that are open. Now there's two ways that we can service an employee. Either it's some sort of new service that we'll need to order from a provider, or it's managing and working with an existing employee. So with an existing employee, I'm going to hit the search bar up here and search for that employee. So if I put my name here, then we have my wireless line. And we can see all of the different actions I could take with the provider. So maybe I need a new SIM card, or I need to port the number in or out, suspend the line, whatever that may be. Anything with the carriers up here. We also have my device itself down here, and I can do any of the EMM actions. So this is working with usually in Mobile Iron or AirWatch or Intune, one of those guys. And these are actions directly on the device. So I can't find it, I need you to ping it. Have it make a noise for me, or I need you to locate it on the map, or I need to clear the passcode. One of those types of things we can do directly from within the system. Also, if somebody's asking about their expenses, we can get their detailed expenses here as well. February was kind of high, is because I had a new phone. So any of this kind of granular information, any type of service we would do on an existing phone or service, we just go in that search bar and check it out there. Now, if it's something new that the employee needs to order on their behalf, then we can order anything new from within the portal. So say we want to order a new device, it has a very clear, simple user interface to be able to order a new device for this user. So we search the user in ServiceNow, select the phone number, select the device, and then we can go on and get it shipped to that user. I think where we really see a lot of value here is that everything is managed and tracked within one system, which is your existing IT solution. And so we really pull in everything related to telecom, cloud, mobile, and centralize it within ServiceNow. So as we show you, I'm going to show you here the self-service side. As we talk about having this integration into ServiceNow, you can see that we have this My Telecom space on our self-service portal. And what this does is allows you to manage any of the services that are assigned to you via ServiceNow. Once again, if it's an existing service, it's up top. If it's a service that you need to start, it's going to be on the bottom. So say, for example, I've gotten a new phone, but it needs to get enrolled in the EMM solution. I can enroll the device here, and I have a self-service walkthrough on how I can enroll that phone. Or if I need to order a new phone or a new device, upgraded device, all of those types of things can be done from within here. Now, if it's something that we would like to work on that I already have, we can click on the actual device itself. And just like you saw before, here's my service. These are the different options that I have through the telecom provider. And as usual, this is set up as a workflow in ServiceNow. And so if somebody requests one of these changes, MACD changes, then it will go to a manager for approval. Once it's approved, Mobicord is going to fulfill that request on the back end, or your team can fulfill that request on the back end, depending on whether you have managed services or not. For myself, I can actually go ahead and once again, these are all the self-service actions. I can actually do these EMM actions for myself, so I don't have to call up and talk to the telecom manager to do these for me. They're actually available from a self-service perspective. And then we have all the information on our plans itself. So this is my wireless plan. These are my expenses, and this is my usage. So what this does when we're talking about from the organizational aspect is it really helps you keep your users honest and keep them in a place where they're self-governing. So they're looking at their usage, they're trying to manage this, and you can hold them accountable to what they're doing. Not to mention, it's all on the same platform where they are used to working. So I think that pretty much sums up the demonstration. Feel free to reach out to us for a full demo. We'd love to see you. You can check us out www.mobicord.com or send over an email to sales@mobicord.com. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll be following up with questions on the ServiceNow community, and we will talk to you guys later.
1 second, Tim. We've got a couple questions on the YouTube version. It says,
Awesome.
Does Mobicord have a peer benchmarks for mobile operator spend?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the things. I think I understand what you're saying. It's where you can compare what your spend is versus like a peers on an average one. And that's one of the future things that we're looking at bringing into the portal. Right now, you can just see your own spend, but it doesn't compare it to others. All the information is in ServiceNow, so it's easiest for us to get that kind of information, but it is not a standard feature that we have implemented so far.
Okay, great. I'm sure if any other users have questions, they'll post them on the community. We thank you for your time, Tim.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.